guys, today we're going to be talking about unit rates with complex fractions. A complex fraction is a fraction in which the numerator, denominator, or both are fractions. So it's a fraction within a fraction. To simplify a complex fraction, you divide the numerator by the denominator, just like we find unit rate, which is what we talked about in our last video. So we have some examples here that we are going to do. We're going to divide two fractions by each other, and to do that we are going to multiply by the reciprocal. So for this one I'm taking 3/4 and I'm dividing it by 5/6. So the reciprocal of 5/6 is 6/5. And instead of division now, I'm multiplying. So I took 5/6, changed it to its reciprocal. Instead of dividing, I'm multiplying because I'm multiplying by the reciprocal. Then we multiply straight across. So I would get 18/20. We always want to reduce. So if I take 18/20 and reduce it by 2 in the numerator and the denominator, I'm left with 9/10. That's my answer. All right, the next one. So we have 2/5 divided by 1/3. So I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to take 1/3 and flip it to get 3/1. And I multiply straight across. So I have 6/5. That would be my answer. You could also write that as a mixed number, which would be 1 1/5. So either or, I'm fine with here. Number 3, we have 4/7 divided by 6/5. So I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 5/6, and multiply straight across. So I have 20/42. Now when I do that, I am going to divide both of these by a common denominator. And so, or not a common denominator, the greatest common factor. And then that would give me 10/21. There's my answer there. So you always want to simplify when you can. You look for that greatest common factor between those two numbers to reduce it down. All right, so now we're going to look at some word problems. It says, it takes Mrs. Stephen 1/4 of an hour to run 1.5 miles. What's her unit rate in miles per hour? So to do this one, we first want to change everything to improper fractions. So this mixed number we have to rewrite as an improper fraction. So to do that, you do that boomerang method. So you would do 2 times 1, which is 2, plus 1, which gives us the numerator of 3, and then we keep that denominator. So that's equivalent to 1 1/2. So now I'm going to take both fractions and set up my unit rate. So I know that it's going to be miles over hours, right? So I'm going to take 3/2 and divide by 1/4. But since both of these are fractions, we have to multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to take 3/2, multiply by 4/1, and I get 12/2. Well, 12/2 reduces to 6, so 6 miles per hour is our answer. All right. Next one, we're doing something similar, just looking for the unit rate in each scenario. So we're looking for gallons per hour. Gallons is on top, hours is on the bottom. So I'll put 2/3 of a gallon over 1/2 of an hour. And I'll have to multiply by that reciprocal. So I'm going to take the first, multiply, and flip the denominator to its reciprocal, which is 2/1. When I multiply straight across, I get 4/3. So we could write that as 4/3 or 1 1/3 gallons per hour. The next one, we're looking for price per can, so we're going to set up price on top, cans on the bottom. I'm going to put $2.50 and then the number of cans, so price over cans, and then I divide. When I do that, I will get 50 cents per can. Alright, next one. So I'm looking for juice per sugar. So I'm going to put juice on top, sugar on the bottom. So I have 3/4 divided by 2/3. And I am going to multiply by that reciprocal. So I keep the numerator the same. Multiply by the reciprocal, which would be 3/2. And I get 9/8. So this is another one. You could write it as a mixed number as well. So you could have 9/8 or 1 1/8. And that's juice, cups of juice per sugar. Okay. Last one. So we have we're looking for the price per candy bar, so we're putting price on top, candy bar on the bottom. So I'll put $5 divided by 4. When I do that, I would get $1.25. So actually, when you do this, you could take this unit rate and recognize that you can write it as a mixed number of 1 1/4. Well, we know 1, you have 1 whole, and then you have 1/4 of a whole, which is where we get that 25 cents from. So this one, we could have just set it up and seen the answer right away. All right. If you have any questions, please bring them to class tomorrow, and don't forget to fill out the Google form on Google Classroom. We will see you tomorrow.